All right, for real, golf technology over the last like 5 years has gone insane. Like 5, 6, 7 years ago, to get an accurate personal launch monitor that has simulator capabilities, you're paying like 10 grand plus. And now we have products like the Rapsodo MLM2Pro, where for $699, you're getting Doppler radar, you're getting dual cameras, you're getting simulator access, you're getting a great app, and it theoretically is accurate. But is it? That's kind of the big question. This is probably the most hyped golf tech product of 2023, and so many people are wondering, is it any good? Should I buy it? I've heard some reports of some bugs. Like, is that gonna factor into my decision? Should I spend 3 times more and get the FlightScope MEVO Plus? Should I spend about the same amount of money and get the proven GARMIN R10? If you are in the market for this, I got good news for you. We're answering all of those questions today. We're doing a full Rapsodo MLM2Pro review. I'm gonna get that name wrong at some point during this video. But if you're on the fence, if you're thinking about buying it, this will probably be a long video, but I'm gonna do my very best to answer all of your questions to help you figure out if this is the right device for you. So let's stop wasting time. Let's get right into it. All right, let's talk first impressions. We have got the Rapsodo case right here. It's a very nice canvas case. It's very high quality. You open it up and here you go. You have the device itself, which is right here. And then you've got the tripod mount that basically just screws in like that. So all of a sudden you've got a fairly tall device. This is much taller, a little more conspicuous when it's sitting on the range, but this added height, we're gonna talk about this later, does make it a little bit easier to set up to get accurate results. So the device itself feels pretty high quality. This metal on the stand right here, like you could kill someone with this. It feels very beefy, but the legs themselves, they feel a little bit cheaper in comparison. And that's probably not a bad thing, probably keeps the weight down and everything, but you know, the legs feel like pretty cheap plastic. You've got this very beefy connection here, and then the device itself feels high quality. So it feels very representative of its $699 price point and is in line with similar, models like the R10. So the R10 obviously is much smaller. I do like the kind of blacked out look of the Garmin. And then you've got the MEVO Plus here as well, which, feels like kind of similar build quality, similar metal, similar plastics, just a little bit of a different design. So obviously I showed you the case and what fits in the case, but when you open up the box, there's actually a number of things, including one thing that's a little bit of a surprise. So along with the stand, the device, the case, you're gonna get a USB power cord, which is USB-C, which I love to see. I feel like every device these days should have USB-C. It's, the modern standard. But you're also getting a pack of Callaway Chrome Soft RPT balls. Now, it seems kind of weird to include balls with your launch monitor, but these are very special balls, and we're gonna talk about what makes them so special later on in this review. Now, something I'm gonna call attention to real quick before we finish this review, because I know I'm gonna get a bunch of comments on it, is there have been some bugs with the Rapsodo. And this is kind of to be expected with just about any revolutionary tech product. When you're trying to create something as high tech with as many components as this, there's going to be issues that crop up. So I'm recording this in May of 2023, and there's been kind of 3 issues they've come across. There's Wi-Fi connection issues, there's application crashes, and there's some general bugs. So for me personally, I've only had issues with one of those, and we're gonna talk about those later in the review. But I do know Rapsodo is working on this really diligently, and I expect it to be fixed in the coming weeks. I will update my written review, which is linked below, as that happens, and we'll continue to kind of treat this as a review in progress. So first off, what's it like to set this up? It's great. As you would expect with the tech product in 2023, it works really well, and the setup process is pretty seamless for the most part. You can pair this to your phone or your iPad in one of 2 ways. So the first way is you can connect it to the same Wi-Fi network. So if you're at your house, you connect this to your Wi-Fi network, you connect your phone to your Wi-Fi network, it will talk, it'll pair, away you go. But let's say you don't have a Wi-Fi network, maybe you're outdoors on the range, then this will emit its own Wi-Fi network that you can then connect your tablet or your phone to. The problem when you're doing it that way is if you are using a tablet that doesn't have a cellular connection, then you can't access the internet. So you're not able to do some of the product updates and some of the things like that. That's one of my big critiques with the MEVO Plus, is that the only way you can connect it is by connecting to the Wi-Fi network it outputs. So if you're trying to update firmware or the app and your tablet is connected to this, then you don't have Wi-Fi. And then you have to do that dance of disconnect, connect to the internet, disconnect, connect back to this. It's kind of a pain. But because the Rapsodo can connect to a shared Wi-Fi network, it's not really an issue. It would be nice to see Bluetooth in both of those devices to give you one more option for connectivity, but overall, I have had no connections connecting to Wi-Fi with the Rapsodo. I do know that Wi-Fi connection issue is something that some people have had complaints about, but for me personally, I haven't had any issues with my unit. So once everything's paired, you're set up within the app, that's all great. There is one thing I feel like I should mention that was a little bit cumbersome, and that's when you're setting up your golf bag. So normally you would expect to say, okay, I've got a driver, a 3-wood, a 4-iron, a 5-iron, you select all your clubs and away you go. Well, the way you set it up with the Rapsodo system is you have to tell it what type of club it is, what the brand is, what the model is, and then you have to pick a display color for it to show in the app. And doing that, you have to scroll down, find the thing, and then go to the next one, and then scroll down and find the thing. And then I did find that a few of the clubs in my bag, specifically I had a Mira wedge, as well as a couple Sticks golf clubs, they didn't have either of those options. And so it just took a lot of time to kind of do all the scrolling when I've got one set of clubs that I'm using these with. I don't care, I don't need to put in the specific model, just know that I have a 7-iron. And I initially only put 4 or 5 clubs in, and then when I tried to go in the middle of a session to add more clubs, it said, you have to end the session before you can do that. And then I ended the session and I still couldn't do it. So it was a little bit cumbersome, and in the end, it ended up working. It was a small hiccup, and they've already told me that they're going to add the clubs that were missing. So it might not be as much of an issue for you, but I wish there was an option to just say, cool, I added a 7-iron. That's great. You don't need to know any more than that. So one of the biggest benefits to this is just how easy it is to get it set up for use on the course with accurate results. So let's say, okay, you're ready to go play. You click play within the app and you're gonna have 3 options. You're gonna have practice, you're gonna have combines, and you're gonna have simulation. So for a lot of what you're gonna do, it's just gonna be practice. You click on that and it's gonna bring you to a screen with just a handful of options. You can decide if you are playing on a range or if you are hitting into a net. You can tell it what golf balls you're using, practice balls, premium balls, or the RPT balls we talked about before. You set your elevation. It can be sea level, your current elevation, or a selected elevation of your choice. And then from there, you hit go and you're off. The next screen will vary a little bit whether or not you are playing indoors or outdoors. If you're outdoors, it'll ask you to select the range you are at. It will then have you point in the direction that you are hitting so that when you see all of your shots overlaid, it's on your actual range. This was a feature that was included in the original MLM, and it was kind of cool, so I was glad that they carried that over to the MLM2Pro. If you're playing indoors, it skips that. But then the final screen you have is an alignment screen. So it'll show you a target line. You make sure that your Rapsodo is, basically lined up in the direction you want it. And then it will have a hitting area, and you can adjust where that is. And so this is one of the things I found with this device is the hitting area feels smaller than on some other products like the Garmin R10, the MEVO, and the Bushnell Launch Pro. So as long as you're in the right spot, it's great. But I have run into some issues, which we're gonna talk about. This relates to one of those bugs. So I think that this might get better in the future, but I found you had to really be in a very specific hitting window in order to get it to register, especially indoors. So from there, you're ready to go. It's set up behind you. You've got your phone or your tablet, and you can see video of you. It connects to one of the cameras here, which is a nice wide angle lens, and it's gonna show you hitting your swing. So when you're hitting a shot, what you'll find is that it shows your video, you've got the 3 metrics across the top, which you can switch out with any other 3 metrics that you like. You hit your shot, and it's going to give a big overlay of those 3 metrics, so you can very clearly see in front of you what those are. From there, after about 3-5 seconds, it's going to go into an automatic video replay. I love this feature. If you're working on any swing movements or you're trying to figure out what you're doing wrong, or if a swing felt particularly good and you want to see what it looked like, you immediately get that feedback. But if you want to hit the ball and go faster, it will stop doing all that and show your next shot if you don't want to watch it. If you have a Rapsodo Premium membership, which you get your first year free, and we're going to talk more about that later on, it will save up to 10,000 video clips of your swings. Not that anyone needs 10,000 swings of their practice sessions, but it is nice to know that if you have some good ones, those are going to be saved. You can go back, you can look at those. All is great. Hey, real quick, are you watching this and you're not sure if you should get the Rapsodo or the MEVO Plus or the R10 or even the Bushnell Launch Pro? I've got good news. There's a link below. I put together a quiz. It's literally gonna take you 30 seconds to fill out. You tell me all the things you're looking for, and I'm going to make my best recommendation on the best device for you. I genuinely think it's going to be useful, so open up a new tab while you're continuing to watch this video and go check it out. Now, here's one major downside I've found with the Rapsodo system, is when you're pairing it with your phone, you can only get 3 metrics at a time. Despite having 13 metrics available to you, when you are in that mode, you can only get the 3 across the top, and there's no way to have, a flight scope-like system where you can get all of your data right in front of you. And this is one of the things that kind of surprised me, is despite being the MLM2Pro, it doesn't feel as pro as the flight scope. The flight scope feels like a true professional level launch monitor that you could do a lesson or a club fitting on. With this, it feels much more consumer friendly because, well, it is. And so for some people that want ease of use and you don't want all that data and you don't want all the options and you want it to be easy, this is going to be great. It's more similar to the R10 in that regard. But the fact you can only see 3 metrics at a time when there are 13 metrics available, that feels like a big missed opportunity, and I've got to imagine that's a software update they're going to make at some point. I will say if you were using an iPad, because of the extra screen real estate, you can see more metrics, but you still can't see all of the metrics. And so that just feels like a little bit of a miss to me. And while we're talking about metrics, you may be wondering, what metrics does it give you? I'm going to read them because I will forget them all. Ball speed, club speed, launch angle, launch direction, spin rate, and spin axis. These are all actually measured. So what you'll find as launch monitors get more expensive, they are actually measuring more things. The less expensive a launch monitor is, it's measuring fewer things and then using algorithms to calculate and make a guess at what those things are. So this is very similar to the R10, where it's got ball speed, club speed, launch angle, and launch direction. The area where it one-ups the R10 is in spin axis and spin rate. Now, to be clear, this only works using the RPT balls that we talked about and alluded to before. So you're really only going to be using this feature indoors. If you're on the range outdoors, it won't even give you the option for spin rate. But then on top of those things, it also provides smash factor, carry distance, total distance, descent angle, side carry, apex, and shot type. So if you want to know that you are slicing the ball, it will tell you you are slicing the ball. Unfortunately, I get way too many of those. So these are really solid numbers. To have those 6 things that are measured is really good. It pales in comparison to the MEVO Plus, especially the MEVO Plus when you get the Pro package. But again, that's a device that's 3 times or 4 or 5 times more expensive depending on what packages you get. And so for $699, it's pretty good. And here's the best part. It still feels wonderfully accurate. So especially with some of these less expensive launch monitors, if I'm trying to compare it and see how accurate they are, when I'm out on the range, I will use a laser rangefinder, and I will also use this both on the range indoors. This is the Bushnell Launch Pro. It's essentially the Foresight GC3. It's the most accurate launch monitor I have. So I took this particular one indoors, and I found the metrics were really close. It was within a yard or 2 on carry distance pretty much every time, and even the spin rate numbers were between 100, 200 RPMs on a consistent basis. So for a device that costs a fraction of the price, this is $7,500 unlocked versus $699 on the Rapsodo, we're getting similar numbers. That's pretty insane to me. But here's where we ran into a problem. We talked about practice mode and how that works. It seems very accurate. It's overall worked really well, aside from some of the display issues that I have problems with. But we haven't talked about the combine mode. So combine mode is a new way to practice within the Rapsodo app. You essentially hit 24 balls and you can decide what the distances are and what the clubs you're going to use to do that is. So you're basically going to pick 3 clubs. So you can have a gap wedge that you set to 100 yards, you can have a 6-iron that you set to 165, and then you have your driver where you're going to try and hit the best drives you can. You're going to hit 2 of each ball 4 times. So you're gonna hit 2 gap wedges to 100 yards, and then 2 6-irons to 165, and then 2 drivers as best you can. And you're gonna do that 4 times for a total of 24 shots. The closer you are to the targets, the more points you're going to get. And at the end of your combine, it's going to give you a handicap rating for each of those 3 clubs. So this is great. It mixes up what shots you're hitting. It really helps you dial in distance. It makes it kind of fun. It gamifies it. There's just one problem. You're supposed to hit 24 balls, and I was doing this inside, but in order to finish my combine, I had to hit over 50 balls because it missed so many shots. Now, the device would be sitting behind me and it would switch from green when it's in ready mode to blue, so I could see that it knew something was happening, but it wasn't giving me any shot data. So this kind of turned into a bit of an annoyance. When I'm trying to review a product and I'm trying to review all the things, I'm like, I'm gonna finish this freaking combine, but 50 shots later, I was starting to feel a little tired. So this is one of those known bugs I talked about earlier, and it's really the only one I've personally had an issue with. When you're inside using the combine mode and you're saying you're hitting into a net, for some reason the Rapsodo is switching over to range mode, so it thinks you're hitting outside. This causes it to not register certain shots because its parameter in the environment is not what it thinks it is. I've been assured this is something they're working on, and I expect this to be fixed in the coming weeks, but with my experience with the combine feature, I love it. I think it's great, and it's going to be one of the ways that I'm going to look forward to with practicing for the rest of the season. So real quick, let's talk about those balls I mentioned before, the Rapsodo Precision Technology balls. So essentially, these are just Callaway Chrome Soft balls that have special markings on them so that the second camera, the impact camera, can tell how fast the ball is spinning. So we mentioned the regular camera before, which will take video of your shots. It's great. The second one is actually looking at the ball. It's a 240 frames per second high-speed camera, and it's then calculating what the spin rate is. It's pretty cool to go into the mode where you can see that impact camera and you can see the ball slowly going and you can see it spin. I should mention the impact camera, it's not a particularly high resolution camera. You can go back and you can see it. It's in black and white. It's got a little bit more of a crop factor, so I've kind of found that oftentimes it's not perfectly lined up for me to be able to see exactly what my ball's doing. But because it's not high resolution, because that framing isn't right, I haven't found reviewing that footage to be useful for me. But it is useful because I know it is giving me more accurate spin results in the data that I'm getting. But don't expect to go to that video footage and have it be overly useful as far as figuring out what some of the problems are with your game. But I did notice using the RPT balls, not just for spin information, when you're using them indoors, they did seem to be better than using the range balls. My one kind of knock on them is that they don't seem to be very durable. You can look at this photo here. This kind of shows you what it looked like after a single session. They're pretty beat up. So what I would do, and this is what I'm personally doing, is I would go buy a dozen of the RPT balls. They're not cheap. They're like $70 on the Rapsodo website, but that's going to save you from having to go pick up balls after every 3 shots. It's going to make it a little bit easier to hit a dozen balls and then go collect them. And you're also spreading them out, so they're going to last you a little bit longer because you're not banging the same ones over and over and over again. So we talked about the combines, we talked about practice. Now let's talk about the third mode, which is simulator mode. So one of the coolest features with Rapsodo is they have what's called Rapsodo Simulator that's built in. So you can essentially play like fake simulator rounds on just about any course you can think of. It'll give you kind of a low resolution 3D view of the course. It's almost identical to Home T Hero on the Garmin R10. And honestly, I think it's a great inclusion. It's a fun way to play a practice round. You can set what you want the distance to be for your putting. So this doesn't track putting, but you can say if it's within 10 feet, it's a 1 putt. If it's within 30 feet, it's a 2 putt. And if it's outside 30 feet, it's a 3 putt. So it's fun. So I've done it on my home course. I've done it for Pebble Beach. It's a nice inclusion. And if you're sitting in your garage in the middle of winter and you don't want to spend more money on a more expensive simulator app, it's a pretty cool feature. Speaking of those more expensive simulator apps, one of the most common ones you will see is E6 Connect. If you buy the Garmin R10, you get 5 E6 courses for free. If you buy the MEVO Plus, you get 10 E6 courses for free. So right now you are not able to use E6 with this, but I have been told that it is going to be released in the coming months. I also know that they are planning to have this be compatible with other more popular simulator software out there. I just don't know which one or what the timeline is on that. Okay, we've talked about a lot of stuff here. We're gonna keep going. Let's talk about reviewing data, because this is an area where there's some stuff I really, really like and some stuff that I don't like quite as much. So as I mentioned, one of my big critiques is the fact I can only see 3 of those metrics while I'm playing. After the round, you can go in and you can review your sessions, and even still, you still can't see all 13 metrics for a specific shot, right out of the gate. You have to long hold each shot, and it'll bring up all the statistics, but this feels like kind of a cumbersome and weird way to do it. Like I said, it really doesn't feel as professional as the MEVO Plus and what FlightScope's doing. There, you can see the data in any way you want. You can sort it in any way you want. You can see whatever metrics you want. You can see a lot, you can see a little. It really feels very customizable and very professional. With this, it's more difficult to do that. But because it is more consumer friendly, it is also more consumer friendly. So one of the features that they have implemented is called Insights. And so it will look at a particular session and it will make recommendations and it will give you feedback based on what it is seeing with your numbers. So if it's clear to the app that your driving sucks, it will give you some numbers to back that up and it will give you some ideas for how you can practice that in your next session. I found the insights to be really well executed, actually provide good information, and kind of help dumb down some of the things that I might not understand. So I think that's one of the things that's really going to help people that are new to golf statistics and using a golf launch monitor be able to feel more comfortable using it and not be super overwhelmed. One other thing I would have liked to see included is a better way to star specific shots. So if I'm hitting like 25 drives in a session and I know, oh, that is the one, that's the thing I'm trying to replicate, that's it would be great to be able to star it so that I can then go back and easily see what those numbers look like, see the video that goes along with it, as opposed to having to sort through, remember what was the good one out of 25 drives. And so I found that to be the case with a lot of these launch monitors. I would think that would be easier to do, but with a lot of them, it really isn't. So that seems like a little bit of a missed opportunity. And finally, that brings us to something that's very important to mention, and that is the Rapsodo Premium membership. Everybody's favorite topic, subscriptions. So the great news is out of the gate, when you buy the Rapsodo MLM2, you are getting the Rapsodo Premium subscription for free for a year. So the subscription costs $199. So as far as these types of subscriptions go, that's on the higher end. FlightScope doesn't have a subscription, and the Garmin R10, I think it's like $120-ish a year. So $200 a year, that's a pretty big number. And here's the kicker. With the Garmin R10, basically what it gets you is the Home T Hero features, so the ability to use simulated rounds, as well as the ability to store more video data. But when it comes to the Rapsodo, just about all of the best features are included in that premium package. So if you want to be able to use the camera for the spin data, it's premium membership. If you want to use the Rapsodo Combines feature, premium membership. If you want to be able to store all the video data, premium membership. If you want Rapsodo simulations, premium membership. So all of the best features of the Rapsodo MLM2Pro, premium membership. So while technically you don't have to have it, my guess is for all the reasons you're buying this, all of the cool features we have talked about, you're gonna need the premium subscription. So I would plan to build that into your budget if you plan to buy this device. Okay, final thoughts about the Rapsodo MLM2Pro. Overall, this is an excellent consumer level launch monitor. It is surprisingly accurate. It is definitely the most accurate device I've used under $1,000. It works well indoors, it works well outdoors. The RPT balls are fantastic. All of the features, the combine, the simulator, the cameras, they all work great. Yes, I do wish it was possible to customize your data a lot more. Yes, I have run into a couple bugs when it comes to the combine mode and it not registering shots. And yes, the premium membership is pretty spendy, but truly, for $699, it's great. I mean, it's incredible. I really have no big issues. Aside from currently, I know a lot of people are having some of these bugs, but those are going to get worked out. I have no doubt within the next couple months, those are going to be handled. And what you're going to be left with is one of the best consumer level launch monitors on the market. And this is especially true if you're someone who values ease of setup, you value ease of use more than customization. You don't need to dig into all of the, most minute data points. You want to be able to see how far you hit it. You want to be able to see your spin rate. You want to be able to get useful feedback, and you want to have some ways to have more fun on the range. If that's what you're looking for, then this is going to be an excellent device for you. So you might be wondering, is it worth upgrading for the MEVO Plus? And for some of you, it will be. If you're someone who is a data nerd and you like digging into all of that data, the MEVO Plus experience not only has way more of it, but it's way easier to digest and use. If you're planning to use it for a simulator, like I said, right now in May of 2023, you can't use this for a simulator with anything with the exception of the kind of dumbed down Rapsodo simulator experience. Whereas the MEVO Plus, it integrates with like at least 4 or 5 of the biggest pieces of simulator software out there. Not to mention this is accurate, but I think you're going to find the MEVO Plus is even more so in more use cases if you set it up properly. So you might also be asking yourself, okay, should I get the Rapsodo or should I save a little bit of money and get the Garmin R10? Well, there are definitely some reasons that it might be better to get the Garmin. If you're trying to save some money, this is a better way to go. If you hate the idea of an expensive premium membership, this is great. If you're in the Garmin ecosystem and you use a Garmin Golf watch or you use the CT T10 shot tracking sensors. There's also some convenience features that are nice about the R10. It's smaller, so it's easy to set up, and it also comes with a built-in clip for your phone, so you can easily look at your numbers when you're using it. That's something I really would have liked to see the Rapsodo have. But all of that to say, this kind of gets you the best of both worlds with the R10 and the MEVO Plus. There's some things that's left out, there's some things that I might do differently, but all that to say, when they figure out the bugs with this, when they get the simulator access integrated with this, I think it's pretty safe to say this is going to be the best golf launch monitor under $1,000 and arguably under $2,000. It really is that good. I've been very impressed, and overall, I highly recommend it. So there you go. That was a very long review, but hopefully it gave you a little bit of insight into what it's like to actually use it, the pros and cons, the accuracy, how it compares to other different launch monitors in the space. I will do my best to answer any questions you have, so if you want to drop a comment below, I'm happy to do so. You can also go check out the written review over on breaking80.com. I will link to that below. But if after all this you're still not sure which launch monitor is right for you, then go take our quiz. It literally only takes 30 seconds. It's linked below. You're going to answer some questions about what you're looking for, and I'm going to give you my best recommendation for the best device for you. I spent quite a bit of time on it, so I think it's genuinely going to be useful for you. With that, my name is Sean Ogle. I am the founder of this thing here at Breaking 80, where we do cool golf course and golf tech reviews. If you like this video, maybe consider subscribing, thumbs up button, do all of the things. And I'm a little tired after doing this, so I'm gonna go take a break. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.